understanding slope. What is the easiest way that you can think of to explain slope to me? Pardon me? You don't know. Okay. If only you had a bunch of notes from a couple of days ago explaining slope. Once again, can anybody explain slope to me? Excellent. It's rise divided by run, which means you go up or down and left or right from any point on the graph. How do you know if you are going up? It's positive. How do you know if you're going down? How do you know if you're going left? How do you know if you're going right? Excellent. Now, every single person somewhere in the top right corner up here, put a dot anywhere in that quadrant. It does not matter where. Every single one of you put a dot and label it with its coordinates. Okay? Then put F over here. Put G down here. And put H over here. So just put a dot anywhere in each quadrant and label it. If those instructions are complicated, I will show you what I mean. I am putting my dot right there, and I am labeling it as -6, 8. Do that 3 more times at anywhere in the quadrant. Does everyone have 4 labeled dots? Excellent. Now, knowing what you know about slope, rise over run, draw another dot and connect the two so they have the appropriate slope. I will do the first one because apparently it is needed. 2 over 5. Is that a positive or a negative slope? Positive. Rise over run. Now, where I have drawn my slope, can I rise to? Or am I off the graph? I'm off the graph. So I cannot rise +2. What can I do? I can rise -2, which would be down to here. Now, to keep this positive, what direction must I go for my run now? To the negative direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I can't do that either. So I'm in trouble here, aren't I? Right? So I'm going to go down 2 and left 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going to add a dot out here. Now, everybody should have been able to do that, and everybody should have a slope that looks like that. Hey, Mr. DeVries.
You remember talking about this? Financial literacy sharing circle. Was that you?
We sat around in your room with Malcolm, and we talked about sitting together in a circle and talking about needs versus wants for budgeting.
It was Malcolm.
Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And this is -2, and this is -5. So -2 over -5 is the same as +2/5. Everybody should have a construction that looks like this somewhere in this quadrant, wherever you put your dot. Now let's do F, -4. What is -4 really? -4 over 1. So what is my rise? I can go 4 down. If I go 4 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, where must I go to make a negative slope? 1 to the right. And that point we are going to label as 4, 2. For me, whatever yours is, you're going to label yours and you're going to complete the construction. -4, +1. Everybody cool? Your graph will not have 3, 6, and 4, 2 on it like mine unless you just copied me. G, 0. What is 0 really? 0 over 1. So I must rise not at all and run either direction, because I have 0 if whatever I divide it by. So I'm going to put mine out here, and it's going to be negative, that should have been -8, -9, 6. And there's my line with 0 rise and a run. And my last one should be 7 over 1. It's positive, so I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 1 to get 2, -2. With a rise of 7 and a run of 1. Was everyone able to do that before I did it? So, if you have a graph, how do you draw a line when you know the slope? What do you got to do? I had a graph, I had a point, I had a slope. How do I make a line? I'll remind you, this is what it used to look like. I had a point, I had a slope. How do I make the line? You find a second point. How? By counting. We can all count, yes? Excellent. Now, we're going to do something slightly different. Find the slope of a line that goes through these 2 points. I'm going to do this one in green. And I'm going to zoom in to make it easier for you guys to see. Where is this first point? How do I get to it? Go to the left. How far? 5. And then 1, 2, 3. And I make a dot. Everybody cool? How do I get to the second point? Two to the right and 1 up. And then I would connect the line, yes? How do I find that slope now? Is it on a graph? So how do I find a slope when I have it on a graph? Starts with a C, ends with a T, has own in the middle of it. Count. Excellent. Which do I count first? Does it matter? No, but it matters how I write them down. How do I have to write them down? What must the fraction look like? Rise over run. So if I'm going from here to here, I like to count my rises first. So how do I count that? 1, 2, 3, 4. correct? Was it positive or negative? Positive. 4. Then I count my run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Was it positive or negative? Positive. So what is my slope of letter I? 4/7. Everybody cool? Okay. We'll do this guy in red. How do I get to 0, -4? Zero, -4. Down. How far? 1, 2, 3, 4. How do I get to 0, 3? How far? 1, 2, 3. That is the line. What is the rise? How do I find it on a graph? Count. How far did I go? 7. How far did I run? 0. Is that allowed? No. That is a special kind of slope. What is it? If you don't remember, turn back to page 178, 79. It is an undefined slope because it's not a slope at all, is it? It's straight up and down. It's vertical. So it is an infinite slope. Everybody cool? So, what is our takeaway on this? What can we say about finding slope if we have a graph? How can I find slope if we have graphed points? Everybody cool with that? If the points are on the graph, all you got to do is count, right? So, look at your next thing. When you turn the page, you're given 2 points. If they were on a graph, what would you do? You could graph them and count, right? Everyone agrees? Okay. Now, just in your heads, if I was going from 1 on the y's up to 7, how far did I go? Because if we graph this, my y values would be 1 and 7, wouldn't they? So how far up did I go to get from 1 to 7? How did you know that? So Jazreet says, if I do 7 minus 1, I'm going to get it 6, aren't I? Okay, how do you know how far you went side to side? You went from 2 to -6. How far is that? What direction? Positive or -8? -8, because 2, right? Minus 6, 2 minus -6 equals 8, doesn't it? So without graphing, were you able to tell? Great. So that means that not only does slope equal rise over run, it must also equal y minus y over x minus x. But if I write it this way, what is y minus y? Technically. Forget these numbers, but if I write the same letter twice, what does that equal? Same number. So that would be 0 over 0, wouldn't it? So we're not allowed to write it that way. So we write it this way. y2 minus y1. over x2 minus x1. Who do you think chooses which is y2? You do. The way I like to do it is I always make the second one y2. If this is y2, then what is this guy? x2. If these guys are x2 and y2, what are these guys? x1 and y1. So what would I get if I followed this formula? What is y2? 1. What is x2? Sorry, what is y1? Sorry. y2 is 1. What is y1? 7. So it's y2 minus y1. So 1 minus 7 over, what is x2? Negative 6 minus, what is y2? Sorry, x2. 2. What is 1 take away 7? Negative 6. What is negative 6 take away 2? Negative 8. 2 negatives make, so that's 6 over 8, right? Now look at what happened up here. Didn't our y's go up 6? And didn't our x's go 8? So do I have a slope? Do I need to graph it? No. So let's look at this one. Which one of those are you going to make x2 and y2? First of all, does it matter? No. But which one do I like to use just because? I like to make the first guys the 1s and the second guys the 2s. If I write that down, is it possible to screw up your slope? Not really. What's y2? So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 15 minus, what's y1? 4 over x2 is negative 5 minus, what's x1? Negative 1. What's 15 take away 4? 11. What's negative 5 minus minus 1? Negative 4. So what's my slope? Negative 11 fourths. Can everybody do this on a graph now? Yes. Can everybody do this without a graph now? Excellent. So let's put this into practice. What are you going to use to find those slopes? Are you going to count, or are you going to use y2 and y1? You're going to count. What's tricky about these? They don't go all the way to points, do they? If I try to use that dot and that dot, can you tell me exactly what they are? Why? They're not on a point. Do you see anywhere on that line that does hit a point? Tell me when to stop. There's one. Tell me when to stop again. There's one. Can I get a rise and a run now? What's my rise? 3. What's my run? Negative 1. So what's my slope? So, would we ever write 3 over negative 1? It's negative 3, right? Everybody cool? All right, let's do B. Can I use the ends of B? I can use the ends? No. So where do I got to go? Find a point. How about that one? Is there another one?
Yeah, right above.
Right above the B. Right there. Happy with that? Okay, what's your run? Or your rise, sorry.
Your rise 1
1 run of 2. So what's my slope? 1 over 2. What about C? Don't even need to count, do I? What's a straight up and down? Undefined, because it's an infinite slope. Can you ski it? No, that's falling. What about this one? Can you ski it? No, why?
It's just flat.
Because it's flat. There's no down. So this is a 0 slope. Slope is so integral to math. So many things are done with slope. In the last unit, it showed us speed, remember? Distance divided by time. In calculus, slope is used to measure circles. It's so important that you understand slope. Okay? And the way we do that is through things like this question. Draw me a triangle that have 3 positive slopes. What direction does a positive slope lean? You've just seen a positive and a negative slope. There's a negative, there's a positive. Draw me a triangle that has 3 positives. Go. It should take about 10 seconds. Enough time for me to mark 3 graphs of an oven. That was the last thing of your test, was graphing the oven. All right. So, positive slope has to lean what direction? Positively. Which way is positive?
That, right.
To the right.
Right.
So, a vertical line, does that have a positive slope or a negative slope? Both or neither. Either way, right? So, can I have any straight up and down lines in this triangle? No, I cannot. But which way do they have to lean? To the right or to the left?
To the right.
To the right. So, is that okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, I got to go from that point, I got to make another positive slope. Can't go straight up. Where's it got to lean?
It can go down, but if
It could go down to there, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Is that still leaning to the right? But if I stop where it's flat, is that okay? No, why?
Because it's neither.
Because that's neither again. Can I stop up here? No, because then what my third slope does what? Leans the wrong way. So where must I go?
Down.
Past. And then am I okay?
Yeah.
Great. What if I went up and to the right and I wanted to keep going up? Could I go over there? No. Could I go straight up? No. Could I go flat? No. Can I go... Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. Can I go there?
Yeah.
And then that is okay as well, isn't it? Awesome. Yay. So boom, boom, boom. There we go. Or boom, boom, boom. There we go. Wonderful. Sweet. Now, on page 186, we're going to put it all together. 186 and 187. X and Y intercepts, just to remind you. What is every x-intercept? X0. What is every y-intercept? 0, y. What do I have there? Do I have x's and y's? So can I do this? Right. When I'm doing the x, what happens when I put 0 in for y? What happens to that term? Becomes 0. Would I ever write 0? No. So when I put a 0 in there, what I'm really going to have is 3x minus 0 plus 8, correct? Would I ever write that? No. What would I write? 3x plus 8 equals 0 because the y term drops out. Does everybody understand that? Okay. So how would I solve this? What's my job whenever I see an equation that looks like that? Get x by itself. So 3x equals negative 8, right? Because I took away 8 from both sides. Everybody cool? So what does x equal? Negative 8 over 3. Basic algebra, right? Should I put this on the graph right now or should I wait? This takes us back to yesterday or the day before. Went Friday. Should I wait or should I put that on the graph now? What do I not like about that value? It's a fraction. And that's a pain to put on a graph, isn't it? Unless we change the scale, right? But if we change the scale now, that might screw up my y's, correct? So I'm going to wait. I'm not going to graph it till I know my y's. Now, which is the 0? So what drops out? The 3x drops out, and I have negative 2y plus 8 equals 0. So now negative 2y equals negative 8. And what does y equal? 4. So now I'm in real trouble, aren't I? Because if I change the x scale to thirds, then what's going to happen to my y? I would need to go up 12, wouldn't I? Do I have room on my graph to go up 12? I don't. So can I change both scales? I can't change the y scale because I can't fit it, can I? Oh. So I'm only allowed to change the x scale. So how do you show me that? Where do I put a 1 on the x scale? If I put it a 1 right there, then doesn't that make it difficult to put in my fractions? So how can I fix that on the x scale? What would I do? Solve the problem, guys. Talk to your neighbor. Figure it out. How are you going to show me that on this graph? I need a dot at negative 8 thirds. Tell me how to do it. It's okay to not know. I haven't shown you. Well, I have, but only once or twice. But there's 30 brains in here. 30 of you should be able to figure out how you're going to show me that exactly over here. Considering we already did a question with fractions on page 179 or 180. I could go by threes, couldn't I, Jasri? So 1, 2, 3, there is 1. 1, 2, 3, there is 2. I need 8 thirds. Now each square is worth how much? 1/3. And I need how many of them? 8. So 6, 7, 8. Everybody cool with that? Okay. Now, can I keep this scale on the y-axis? No, because I'll go off the graph, won't I? So on the y-axis, I'm going to use regular scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to say that's 1. Is everybody cool? Now, what do I get to do with those two dots? Do I still get to connect them? Yes. Now, do I have a graphed line? Yes. If I asked you to find the slope, would you be allowed to count squares? Really? Why not? Because the scale is different, isn't it? This is not 8 over 4, is it? It's really 4 over 8 divided by 3. Does everybody see that? You have to watch it. Slope can't be counted if scales are different. What if I was able to keep the same scale? Then could I count squares? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay. Here I have some points. Do I know both of them? I don't know that point, do I? So we are going to do this question two ways. We are going to do it graphically over here, and we are going to do it with algebra over here. You got to be able to do both, okay? So if I'm going to do it graphically, what point can I put on the graph, A or B? A, where is it? 2 to the right and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, correct? Is everybody cool? Now, what else do I know? I know that B, I know something about B. What do I know about B? I know the x value, which is what? -4. 1, 2, 3. So it's somewhere on that line, correct? Does everyone agree? Okay. What else do I know about this situation? Read the whole question. I got a slope of 2, yes? Positive or -2? Positive. So I got to get from this point over to here and keep a positive slope of 2. Since I'm going left, my runs are going to be negative, aren't they? So what direction must I go with my rise in order to keep it positive? I must go down. If I go down 2 and over 1, am I okay? Can I do it again? Down 2 and over 1. Down 2 and over 1. Down 2 and over 1. How long must I keep this up? Till I hit -4. My computer is frozen. You guys should keep going. Down to over 1. There. Did I hit -4 right there? So what is that point? -4 what? -4, -6. Does everybody see how to do it on a graph? Yes? Okay. Now, I want you guys to do what we just did, but I want you to do it on this one, on number 7. Do that graphically. Work with your neighbor if you need to. Everybody do number 7 just on the graph. Then we're going to go back and do it with algebra. Okay? Go. This is my kid's school. Excuse me, guys.
You got in trouble, right?
Hello. Hi. we called and left you guys a message at about 7:30. Oh, yep. I don't know. Catherine phoned. Most likely then. No problem. Yep, thank you.
What do you do?
Nothing. She's homesick. But we called and left a message. All right. Is there anybody in the room that has no idea even how to start this? Except the people that just got back from the test, obviously. Duh. But everybody else in the room can start this, yes? What did you do first? You put a dot at -1, 5. Excellent. And what else did you do? You knew the line has to go where? Somewhere down to -4, correct? Everybody agrees? And you knew the slope was -3/2, right? So since I got to go down, what rise would I use? Up or down? Down. But since I need a negative slope, what run do I use? Positive. So if I go down 1, 2, 3 and right 1, 2, do I keep my slope? Can I keep going? Down 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2. Down 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2. Am I on the line? What is that point? 5, -4. Can everybody do it graphically? The people that weren't here, obviously, you'll have to watch the video, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Everybody good? All right, now slide back up to number 6, and let's do this with algebra. What do we know about slope? Slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? In this question, there is an x and a y, there is an x and a y, and there is a slope. What do I do with this information and this equation? What can I write instead of m? 2. But it's slope, so it should be rise over 1. Became Elmer Fudd for a second there. Rise over 1. Be very, very quiet. We're hunting rabbits. What should I really write there? Not 2. 2 over 1. Excellent. What should I put for y2? You want to make it 6? Okay, so if that makes this y2, what does that make this guy? x2. And what does that make this guy? x1. And what does that make this guy? y1. So y2, Jazreet says, is 6. Minus, what's y1? Y. Over, what's x2? 2. Minus, what's x1? -4. So now I have that, correct? So let's tidy that up. 2 over 1 equals 6 minus y over, what's 2 minus -4? 6. Right? Now, all of you know how to solve this. What do you do whenever you have fraction equals fraction? You all call it the same thing, even though that's not really what you're doing. It starts with a C, it ends with a Y, and has Ross multipla in the middle of it. What is 1 times 6 minus y? 6 minus y equals, what's 6 times 2? 12. How do I get y by itself? Minus 6 from both sides. Negative y equals 6. But I don't want negative y, I want positive y. So I divide them both by negative 1, and y equals negative 6, which we already knew because we counted it first. Can everybody do both, or at least C? Great. Let's do the second one on your own. Or talk to your neighbor. Remember, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. See if you can take this and do this. But you already know the answer anyway. So what goes in for m? I'm not going to write it down yet. I'm going to let you guys think about it for a bit while I have a sip or two of coffee. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the last thing we're doing today, and then you guys are working on your own. Oh, no, I lied. I'm going to stop anyway and let you guys do 187 in your questions. So what goes in for m? You've had enough time to think about it. Can anybody tell me what goes in for m? And I'd really like it to be not Jazreed or Carlin, because I know they pay attention. They're getting A's. Nobody else in the room that can tell me what goes in. Oh, hey, Haley, excellent. What? Negative 3 over 2. That is rockin' stuff, Haley. Now, who decides which is y2? You do. Rihanna, which one of them do you want to make y2? You're going to make 5y2, which makes this negative 1 what? x2. Nice. Which makes this x what? x1. Which makes this y what? y1. So y2 minus y1. So what is y2? According to the way Rihanna has written it. You may have done it differently, but according to what Rihanna has done, what should I write here instead of y2? 5 minus, what's y1? Negative 4 over x2. What's x2? Negative 1 minus, what's x1? X. Now tidy it up. Negative 3 over 2 equals, what is 5 minus 4? 9 over negative 1 minus x, correct? Now what do we do? Cross multiply. What's 2 times 9? 18 equals, what is negative 3 times negative 1? Positive 3. And what is negative 3 times negative x? Negative 3 times negative x. Negative 3 times negative x.
Oh, no.
Positive 3x. Now what? Get x by itself the way we always have. Minus 3, 15 equals 3x. Last step. Divide by what? 3. And x equals 5, which we already knew because we did it graphically. Does everybody get it? Great. Prove it. You have 2 questions. If all you do with this section is these 2 questions, or if all you're going to do is these 2 questions, then, and you do them right, then you kind of know what you're doing. You got a good solid 2 on the 1, 2, 3, 4 scale. You're going to do those 2. You're going to do them both graphically and algebraically. And of course, I'm going to assign it, but no one's going to do it. Page 188. Some of the graphs, 1 second, on page 188 do not work very well. They didn't photocopy very well. If you can't see the line, then don't worry about it. You left on Friday to go play basketball. That's why you don't have notes.
I know, I was just asking what video because I looked for it, but I couldn't find it.
For what?
The video for this.
Didn't I put a video up for it?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I was just asking.
No, it's entirely possible. On Fridays, I sometimes forget to put up the videos. So I'm going to stop this, and then I'll check.
All right.
Actually, I'm going to